Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. On today's podcast, we have Sooner fan Matt McClure from Norman, Oklahoma. And we even have Caleb back in the podcast room podcasting with us today. This episode, we discuss how much we're ready for the season to begin, the quarterbacks, the schedule, everything Sooner football. Remember, Sooner football fans is not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma, but we do have eligibility left. Boomer. Hey, Sooner football fans. You got Terry and Caleb here.
Back.
No Rob, but we have Caleb.
I'm off the IR, hurt ankle and everything.
So, Boomer Caleb.
Boomer.
So how's it going? You rested up, ready for...
Yes, I've been hurt myself a couple weeks ago. I was went to a friend's house watching UFC fights. We left, stepped on curb, and I highly sprained my ankle. So I've been resting, nice and rested. So
No alcohol involved, of course.
oh yeah, I was completely sober.
You haven't been completely sober watching a fight in I don't know how long.
No, I'm just ready for the October 6th fight, the Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like I said, Rob's absent today. Apparently he got a new TV, and he's not hooking it up, of course. He has Rhett over there hooking it up. And so he's absent. He'll be back on tomorrow's podcast. So Caleb stepped in, and we do have a Sooner fan as a guest, a good friend of the family and a Norman North alum. This is 2 weeks in a row we've had a Norman North alum here in the same year even.
Yeah.
So, but from right here in Norman, we have Matt McClure. Boomer Matt.
Sooner.
How's it going?
Good to be here. Just ready for football to start.
Yeah, well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. As much as you want people to know, as little as you want people to know. You can incriminate yourself, whatever you want to do.
Well, pretty soon it'll probably be out in the public domain, I would think, all this stuff, once NSA leaks everything. But I graduated from OU in undergrad. I'm in grad school for city planning at OU right now, going into my last year. And I've been going to OU football games since I can remember. Little kid, I've been to a lot of OU football games. Season tickets pretty much my whole life. And my family, that's usually how we travel, is wherever OU goes. That's our vacation for the year.
Ah. So what do y'all pick, a major game, or you just go to all the out-of-town
yeah, usually
games?
like a major game. It's kind of like a combination of the intrigue of the game and also where it is, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, speaking of that, I think we may venture out to UCLA next year.
Yeah.
For the UCLA game. The guy
replace those memories from the baseball. Something a little better.
Yeah. Where Rob's buddy that was here on yesterday was here. He lives out in L.A. He's a highly decorated police officer out there, Scotty Stevens, and he's like, hey, y'all need to plan a trip out there. We'll go see the UCLA game. I was like, dang, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So we may do that, and no, Caleb, you can't go. So, but yeah, I was speaking of that when we went to see our other son, David. Mm-hmm. I've told this story on the podcast. We're going to watch a Dodgers game, and of course, the highway takes you right past the Rose Bowl exit. I almost vomited. Okay, there's a Rose Bowl exit now. I'm like, ugh.
Too soon.
God.
Just need football. Once we get like maybe 5 years, we realize how great that game was. We just need
it was a great game. It was an amazing
the Boise
game.
State game not great?
No, this is different. This is different. We actually just we just won was like legit, really good game. Boise State game was just embarrassing to us. We weren't embarrassed in this game. Like we represented well in this game. It's just like in 5 years, like all right, we got another championship behind our backs. We'll be good. We just need to win a title before, and then we can look back at that game with better feelings, I think.
Yeah. So
it's optimistic of you.
It's very optimistic. I was there. I was like saying I was at that game. So
yeah, it was a good game, but
I still can't watch it. I was on TV yesterday. I was at the hospital, and the guy almost threw up. I told him to turn the TV 20 times. They wouldn't turn it. I was so mad. Still don't even watch highlights of that game still.
Yeah, it's a rough one to watch, but because I think why everybody, it's such a rough one to watch. I think that every Sooner believes if we got past Georgia, we'd have kicked Alabama's tail.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And because that's who I was hoping we drew in the playoffs. Because then I knew if we draw Alabama,
I don't want to see Brent Venables again.
Yeah.
He gets nightmares.
I
now.
think
It's just
I've said for a while that kind of hurts OU, the break between the championship game and playoffs or the BCS Bowl or whatever, because you give any of those SEC teams only 2 weeks to prepare for us, they don't see anything like us. They don't have a chance to get ready. So maybe if it eventually the playoff extends to 8, that might help.
Which it should. Yeah. If there's, there is a God, and He should put that upon us.
I mean, we got five power conferences and 4 spots.
the UCF in there. They deserve to be in there too. So
Yeah.
And they always went through 2 SEC teams, so you can give them that.
Well,
maybe 3 now, maybe 4.
But
that happens.
the thing is everybody knew this was going to happen. We had the BCS, and when the BCS came out, you two are too young to remember, but that was awesome. It was like, finally, number 1 and number 2 are always going to play. Okay. Because before it was, flipping a coin.
Well, didn't what BYU won the national championship playing like a name, and OU played like Miami in the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl.
So it was always just if you got matched up in the bowl with number 1 and number 2, or if you were number 1 and you got matched up with number 8, all you had to do was win. You were national champions. So the BCS came out, but then everybody started bitching about, number 3 and number 4, they need a chance. And everybody said this was going to happen when they went to the 14 playoff. Now everybody's bitching about number 5 and number 6, and it should be just like any other playoff that's out there, NFL, high school, whatever.
Division 2 or
yeah.
whatever we call that now.
Junior college. Just started, when round 1 of the playoffs is conference championship games. Boom. And then you go into the quarterfinals or whatever, or 8 to 16 teams is what it has to be. But as soon as we go to 8, which they say we won't before 2024,
it's a contract. So contracts that can't be broken.
but but it'll go to 8, and everybody will start complaining that
it's like now in basketball they're complaining that there's too many teams.
Yeah, and because it used to be the 62 team giveaway, and now it's the 64 team giveaway. So you have it at all the bars, everybody goes to it. But my whole deal has always been with the playoffs that if you're not the conference champion, you got no business being there. Alabama had no business being there last year. If you can't win your conference
or your division,
you're done. You have no chance to win the national championship.
You're in a pool of 6 teams, and you weren't the elite out of that 6. So why should you compete for the national championship?
Because it's. And I agreed with Herb Street. Herb, did you see the pick? He got up and walked out. And came back in.
I remember that.
Yeah, and he sat down and was like, and he's right. He goes, conference championships used to mean something. You went to the Rose Bowl, Ohio State, you went to the Rose Bowl. You played in the Rose Bowl. That was a big thing. Now, conference championships, you're just making them
meaningless.
Yeah.
We had 2 conferences left out last year. 2 conference champions left out.
Yeah. So it'll change eventually, but I said they need to put that in there to where, hey, if you don't win your conference, you've got no business being in it. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. So but until Alabama gets bad, they'll probably never do that, because Alabama
they sell money, I guess. They sell tickets. So that's all that matters.
But let's get on to a little bit of Sooner talk here. What are you looking forward to? What are you, Matt? What's your pet peeve of the Sooners, or what you want to see better, worse?
I've been thinking about it a little bit this past week, now that it's getting close. And everyone's obviously concerned about the defense, given what we saw last season. But, the way I look at it, it's hard because I always get pretty apprehensive before the season, just because in my lifetime had a lot of really hopeful years and less than spectacularly. Some great years, and just, it's been a while for us to actually win it all, which I think is kind of the bar for this team. I mean, I think anything less than a playoff would be a disappointment for Sooner fans at least. People outside Sooner Nation might feel differently, but I'm pretty hopeful actually because I look at that Georgia game and I still think we should have won it. I can pick 4 plays that if they go any one of those 4 go a different way, we win the game. It doesn't even go to overtime. So as much as we had room for improvement last year, I think our defense has definitely improved with Buki and just having some of those guys in the secondary have another year under their belt. And so I think our defense got better, and I think our offense is going to be more dynamic with a dual threat like Kyler, assuming he wins it.
No, you don't believe he's the quarterback yet?
I've been giving Austin Kendall more of a shot than most people. Most people think I'm crazy, but
I don't. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he looked a lot better in the spring game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know Kyler had just been playing baseball. And played baseball later that day, actually. But I'm hopeful.
I think as dynamic as everybody hopes, okay, that Kyler can be, because he hasn't been. I mean, he made some good plays last year. Everybody the one play everybody hangs their hat on is the first play of the game against West Virginia.
I like more of his passing plays. I think he got one incompletion as a drop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Jeffrey Mead was a shocker there.
But we talked about it on today's podcast, so we'll be talking about it again tomorrow. Everybody is. Riley came out this weekend, and it really sounds like it's coming down to who throws the deep ball the best. Okay, because obviously Kyler brings the dynamic, the explosive, but apparently Austin Kendall is more rhythm. Just moves the ball. So you have 2 different deals. What do you want? Do you want with our defense, if it isn't any better, 67th ranked last year, you would hope it would get better. But, the year before we were 63rd, so we actually got worse. So do you want a control-type offense that moves the ball, throws around, because that's what Lincoln's going to do. He's going to throw it around. But takes time off the clock, keeps the defense off, or do you want Kyler Murray breaking, touchdowns every 3 minutes?
Yeah.
But I really think it's coming down to who's throwing that deep ball better. What do you think, Caleb? Or do you think he's the...
I don't think it's a conversation, honestly. I mean, guy's getting paid almost as much money as Lincoln Riley. He's playing football for OU. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I wonder how that plays into it.
He's also...
You'd like to think it's only competence, but do you think that matters that he has... that contract.
I went, why would he come back? He's getting paid. Why he just get injured? Also, too, talk about deep ball. He plays outfield. He throws the ball on a rope to a second baseman, or first baseman, or third baseman, or the catcher. So I'm sure. His arm's not a question at all. Like I said, we watched him play last year. When he came in for games. When he threw a deep ball, he threw it on a rope for guys in strides, going for touchdowns. So I don't have anything bad against his arm at all. So, plus I think him and Anderson in the backfield is just a scary thought too. So,
yeah. Well, I see what everybody is saying, and they talk. He's got the contract. There must be something. But honestly, the more I've thought about it, no coach is going to sit here and tell another kid,
smart.
the job's yours, and then hey, it's and turn around and tell the other one, I would seem to think more that hey, Kyler, you're one of the top 2 guys. If you can come and earn it, that's fine. But I think a lot of people are hanging their hats on it's just Kyler. It's going to be he's going to be the guy. Yeah,
Baker
I know.
said too. Baker's come out and said Kyler's going to break all his records. People who's played with them.
Well, and
so
looking
they can count too.
Big picture with Spencer Rattler coming in next year.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray might be kind of good preparation for that, a little more dual threat.
Yeah, but then we got
I know Kendall's a good runner too.
Yeah, but we also got apparently Mordecai.
Mordecai is
right.
pretty good.
He's
they compared to Baker a lot.
Yeah,
He's
so
bigger too, though.
Yeah, he's a big kid.
Yeah,
so
there's no guarantee for Kendall next year. Mordecai could take over. I think this is going on a couple of years, but I think Rattler, he's number 1 quarterback in the country. He's probably going to have it, but probably not his first year.
No.
I'll get to Kendall his first year probably, and then on the Rattler after that. But that Mordecai is as good as they say he is, and it could get interesting.
Yeah, because we're starting to run out seats in the quarterback room.
Yeah, then is it 2020 that it's that like ukulele guy?
Yeah.
He's like the number one recruit in the country. He's like almost committed here too. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
our
But it's good.
Yeah, our quarterback
problem to
room
have.
is getting full. And another good point is, all the way across the board. Now we're bringing in these. We have been bringing in the 3-star, maybe a 4-star here and there recruit. The last 2 years, obviously this year is even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
We've been bringing in more 4- and 5-star recruits.
We got 4 4-star cornerbacks already committed.
Yeah,
A couple of our 4-star recruits just got upgraded to 5-star today.
right.
Actually,
Yeah, Spencer did, and
receiver.
yeah, not Weiss, but
Weiss has got upgraded number 2 player in the country though.
yeah.
Okay,
But-
what's the guy's name?
Wow.
But even the group that's on campus now with Bookie and Braden Willis and a bunch of those guys, Deshaun White,
Okay.
obviously it's known that these freshmen are pushing the upperclassmen. They're not your average,
I think
college
that might
recruit
be what has
walking in.
me most excited about this year is just how deep we are. So I think practice is going to be pretty competitive,
Yeah,
which I think always bodes well.
So I agree with it too. It's been a big issue though. If someone plays bad on defense, we can't take them out because we aren't deep enough. But this year, if you play bad, there's someone right there behind you we can put out there. I mean, that's why I'm
All
pretty
across
pumped.
the board. The only position I don't know about that would be D-line.
The D-line scared me too.
yeah. The D line, they're saying it's more aggressive. You got Gallimore, Mann, Bledsoe, Overton, but
Could hardly be less aggressive.
that's a great point. But I'm trying to think of the 2 guys' names that got hurt: Michael Thompson and Jalen Redmond.
Mm-hmm. I was big on Redmond. Redmond was one of my favorite ones coming out this year.
Well, but then I said Thompson was one of those late signees that nobody thought he was coming to Oklahoma.
His ACL he did.
Yeah, he tore his ACL 2 years ago, and he didn't
Jesus.
know it. He'd been playing on it his junior and senior year in high school.
Matt tore his ACL too before, so he knows how crazy that is.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And he didn't hurt it in practice. They found it in his exam.
Wow.
They were just checking everything, and they went.
Isn't that how they found the Redmonds too?
Yeah.
They examined them and they found.
Yeah, they.
It's like we saved kids' lives here in Oklahoma. So you should come here.
Yeah, it hurt losing that defensive tackle, that grad transfer from Notre Dame.
Oh, that was terrible.
Flipped to Georgia.
Yeah.
That hurt. It's like, really? Georgia doesn't need you. We need you a lot more than they do.
You're not even playing Georgia. Come here.
But they were actually they I think counted on the fact that Redmond and Thompson were going to have playing time.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so now that's out, and it comes back, on the upperclassmen. But like Ronnie Perkins, Tatum, Jordan Kelly, I loved what Thibodeau said about them. Was they're learning, their eyes are wide, cloudy mind, and slow feet. But it's going to be. The defense is going to be key because I really, I've said this a couple of times. I think you could put me out there with the weapons that we have on offense, and I can.
Yeah, we're loaded on offense.
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard to think where we could improve, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, everybody said, well, you're losing the best player in school history, possibly, the best player in the country, what do you got? Well,
best player in the country again this year with Anderson.
My guy right up there, Terry Bradshaw, used to, when he got inducted in the Hall of Fame, said, I'm not that great a quarterback. I had Lynn Swann. I had John Stallworth. Mm-hmm. It's what you have around you too. You could put, if they can't catch the ball, it's not any good.
Right.
So, we're in the same boat we were last year offensively. Everybody said Baker, all they got's Baker Mayfield. He lost P. Ryan, he lost Mixon, he lost D.D. Westbrook. Everybody's gone. Well, look what happens. All of a sudden, these guys drop out of the woodwork. Now we're sitting here going, who's going to lead this team now? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting, but I think defensively is where, everybody knows it. Everybody's saying it. We've got to improve the defense. And where, what is acceptable, because what is an acceptable rank in defense? That's all comes out to the end of the year. But I've said it before. If you look back at last season, we were one drive away from losing 5 games. Mm-hmm. The score of the Baylor game, it was 1 touchdown, which was ridiculous. That was the worst game since the Texas Tech game the year before that.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, we were only up by 3 when Sermon.
I thought we lost when Baker threw that interception. Yeah. We had all freshmen in the defensive backfield. They only had to go they just pulled. Luckily, they're OSU. Any other team, I think, wins that game.
Your future quarterback guy overthrew a wide open guy in the end zone. So
and then
you look forward to.
We also, who else? Kansas State.
Mm-hmm. Kansas State was,
Kansas State just ran all over us all day long.
Texas game was close.
Texas game was close. So there you go. We were 1 drive away from losing 5 games.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Baker, because I'm not too worried about whatever quarterback plays making throws or anything, because he has Hollywood, CD, Calcaterra, Rodney Anderson coming out of the background, Sermon. Both are great receiving backs. It's more the poise in those close situations that I think will really determine our season. And for defense, I'm not as much even worried of yards or points. I've just felt like we haven't had a lot of playmakers.
Yeah.
We need someone that'll get a big sack or make a turnover.
Right. Yeah, because we haven't been getting interceptions. I don't know how long it was. We were deep into the season before we had our first interception last year.
Yeah.
And then if, Caleb Kelly scooping up fumbles.
Those last 2 games we had 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah. And that's the first time that had happened back-to-back games in probably 20-something years. Yeah. But we also, are you superstitious at all?
Especially with OU football.
Yeah. Okay. The last 2 coaches who won national titles at Oklahoma, Barry Switzer and Bob Stoops, won them in their second year.
Mm. Okay, and that kind of reminds me of it's like the year after Peyton left, and everyone's like, "Oh, how are they going to replace Peyton?"
And Tennessee turns around and
Tennessee turns around and wins it.
Yeah.
T. Martin or something.
T. Martin.
That. Yeah.
So
So not to be Debbie Downer because I really like that, but also on another, I thought of this. I think I might have been talking to Kayla about this the other day. When OU loses a big final game of the year, national championship. And so, let's say it was 2004. Then 2005 opening game was against TCU.
Yeah.
Non-conference.
Peterson goes out.
Small team. Yeah, new quarterback. Small team that's pretty hot. They come in and beat us. Then 2008 we lose. That was a little different. Sam got hurt during the game, but we ended up having a new quarterback, Landry Jones, and lose against a small school in BYU. And so now we got FAU coming in, new quarterback coming off a tough loss.
You could also say the year we lost to Clemson, we came play against Houston, lost.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean,
there we go. There's another one.
Yeah.
But we'll know how good
Happy
our defense
football
is,
day, guys.
Yeah. Take FAU in the points.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. No, but I think we'll find out how good our defense is at first.
Yeah. Well, and I've said it before. We've talked about it on here. FAU. Okay, when they scheduled that game.
It was like scheduling Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin wasn't there, and they weren't expecting him to be there. Lane Kiffin was there when they scheduled this game. They wouldn't have scheduled the game.
I mean, I think they had 3 wins in the last 4 years.
Yeah, they were hoping.
And then last year they only won 11 games.
They were hoping for drunk Howard to come walking in the stands, and which he probably will. But that's what they were anticipating. Hey, this is a solid team. We always have our our marquee game, which is UCLA next year, and Army. It seems like about every 10 years or so, they always schedule an academy, Air Force, Navy. So, but here's another little bit of history. The largest point margin of victory in an OU Army game was 10 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been concerned about that. I was actually a little relieved to hear that they started working on some Army's wishbone type
Yeah,
offense
you have to.
in the spring because I mean we're bad enough against the run as it is,
Yeah.
and then you put some offense like that we have probably never seen.
Yeah, and they run wishbone there. I think it's called the flex bone is what most people call it now.
Yeah.
They run out of the wishbone, and then they run out of the set that me and Rob actually put in our little league team, the Packers. You got your two running backs behind the tackles, and you just flex everything out, and it's just misdirection. And Army and Navy, and especially Army the last couple of years, they're methodical. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves.
Right.
They're not as big, strong, and athletic as everybody else, but they're not gonna.
Did you say Iowa State?
Huh? Army.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically Iowa State's strategy for beating us, and Kansas State. They've given us some tough times.
Yeah, but that's what Army. They just don't make mistakes. They're not going to beat themselves.
Yeah.
But I think with all three non-conference games, it's going to be a game until the third quarter in all of them. Army, FAU, and UCLA. Oklahoma's size, speed, physicality, I think will eventually take over the game.
I think especially that Army game, but that is the toughest tactical game as well. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to temper my expectations this year. When I look at our team, I love everything I see. I really like the offense. I think we're definitely better on defense personally, but I just really don't like our schedule. I mean, it's always tough making it through Big 12 play. You see these teams every single year.
Matt thinks
that's a tough non-conference schedule.
What'd you say? Like last year, we had the least presented team to get the conference, get a team in the playoffs. So he's pretty nervous that even if we do lose a game, we won't get in still. Because I think if we lose one game, we'll still be in. But
I just it's tough
depends
because
on
if
when
there's
we
two
lose
SEC teams and then Clemson and a Big 10 team.
Yeah.
We got to
go
have a pretty
there.
dang strong resume.
Everyone thinks Notre Dame's big again this year too.
Yeah, Notre Dame or a Pac. Washington.
Well, I tell you, if Oklahoma goes undefeated with this schedule, they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we for sure control our destiny. But it's just.
I think if they lose one game, okay, depending on when it is, if we lose to West Virginia.
Texas is the latest we can lose, I think.
If we lose to West Virginia at the end of the season, or as some prognosticators are saying, West Virginia in the Big 12 championship, we're done.
Right.
Now, it could fall into a place where we lose to West Virginia and then we turn around and beat West Virginia in the Big 12. That may help, but I'm not drinking the West Virginia Kool-Aid because they've been saying that about West Virginia for 5 years. It's their year.
As long as Holgerson's been there, I've liked our chances.
Yeah.
Well, they have a 3-3, was it 3-3-3 defense or whatever
Yeah.
they have. I mean, it's just can't stop the run there. That's why the first play of the game last year with Cal Murray just took off. Our offensive line just manhandled that defensive line all game long.
Yeah.
So speaking of us running the ball on the flex bone, I really thought when we had Mixon and Pirine, we would kind of run some type of wishbone, more like misdirection type of thing.
We did it a couple times.
We did it a couple, and so I really, really would like to see it because obviously I wasn't really alive to see Switzer, but Lincoln Riley's this offensive genius, and Switzer's still close to the program. I'd like to think that they.
Well, I think with the right quarterback, it's been incorporated into it because we've talked about before the Ohio State game.
Mm-hmm.
That zone read when he gave to Sermon, and Sermon pitched it back to Kyler.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I think you may see an evolution of, with the right quarterbacks, with the type that we're getting in right now, like with Kyler and Spencer and Mordecai and these guys.
Air raid flex bone.
Yeah, that when we run the ball, hey, there's going to be a third option in that because the quarterback's going to be trailing. And Sermon ran it like a wishbone quarterback. He waited for that corner to commit, and when that corner committed, he pitched it out.
Yeah.
It went for 12, 15 yards, but us old guys went, ooh. I remember that, and that's a completely – so I think you're going to see a type of evolution if Kyler's a quarterback, and in the next several years you're going to see that type of play, a zone read, option.
I really hope so. I've felt for a while that football coaches get a little lazy.
Yeah.
You know, you see like one trick play every third game or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, like the trick play in the Rose Bowl, the Philly special, all that. Like, I don't see why you don't. I mean, you don't want to get too crazy with it, but there's nowhere that says you just have to line up and run it up the middle. You know?
Yeah.
You can get creative with it if you trust your players.
And saying, I thought
And Lincoln's the guy to do it.
I thought in the overtime,
super conservative overtime.
yeah, you know that you know the play that Caleb missed while he was, you know, that they threw to Baker in the corner of the end
That was
zone.
getting beer for everyone.
Yeah, well,
Take
it
one
was
for the team.
it was his turn to go get beer.
Yeah.
I missed the swip kick too. So I mean, that's all. It's one great thing and one of the worst things ever. So,
But you know why they didn't run that again, because he was wide open. They could have ran it again.
Yeah.
They could have ran it again in the open field.
And all
He'd have
kinds
been
of different variations of it too.
yeah. You know, I mean, ran the little. You know, when we got the ball back and it was tied. You know, why not run it in the open field? Because I've seen the playback of it. There wasn't a Georgia. The closest person Georgian to him was in the stands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know, something like that. I think it's a learning curve with Lincoln being
it's first
the
time
head
really
coach.
huge game right there
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Because I think his two losses last year, Iowa State and Georgia, he got out coached because he went into relaxed mode against.
I would say both teams.
Yeah, with both teams. But Iowa State, he went into it. And, I mean, me and Caleb were talking about it. I was like, they're just kind of playing around right now. I mean, they tried a couple of rinky-dink trick plays against Iowa State, and Iowa State didn't buy them. And then they got a little bit of confidence, and then lo and behold, that zone read fumble there at
inside the 5.
Yeah, on the 2-yard line. And, they got a turnover and freaking marched 98 yards down the field. And Baker even said it on the Cowherd show that they came out playing not to lose the game. He goes, not just the players, the coaches, everything. So that tells you there that the mentality was, okay, guys, let's just beat them down now. And they should have come out throwing that ball like they did in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
that overtime still hurts me, you know, because when we got it to 3rd and 1, I was like, we got this. We got 2 plays to get 1 yard.
mm-hmm.
Just running horizontally to the first down marker on 3rd down and then not going for it.
Yeah.
Like, we know our defense is not our strength and our offense is our strength. Like, you're playing to your strength. You got the ball. Go for it. If you can't get 1 yard against Georgia, you're not going to win.
Yeah, you're not going to win the game.
So,
no.
Like I said too, like I thought that until like a month ago, I thought that play was Hollywood. So I hate that play call because I thought it was Hollywood running the corner, but it wasn't. It was
Smallwood.
Yeah. It's like while I learned that, I was pretty mad at the play call after that because I was like, okay, it's Hollywood Brown. He's the best player in the country.
Well, and the other thing too, it wasn't like that reverse we ran to Badette all year,
Yeah.
where he would just be hauling and good luck keeping up with him making it to the corner. Smallwood was in a 3-point stance playing like a tight end spot off the edge of the line. He had like 3 steps and got the ball.
Yeah.
You got Roquan Smith out there just waiting on him, and he's running. He's not running towards the line of scrimmage. So,
yeah, Georgia game.
you know,
Jesus.
that's.
Yeah, see what happens when you come back on the podcast, Caleb. To get caught up, you got to go through the pains that we've already gone through 100 times
That's all
talking
right,
about it.
though. I mean, it's just like until we play another game. It's the last game we played. So I mean, we've got 2 more weeks until we can talk about something else.
I think that was like the ghost of Kevin Wilson came back to OU. How can I mess up this short yard situation?
Yeah.
Florida game too was doing.
Yeah, don't.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Yeah, we're trying to get into the motto of we don't talk about losses on this show. So
I want to say one
last
last thing about losses. Like it's been what longest drought in OU history at winning national championship. It's now coming to a time now that these players are recruiting now weren't even on live yet. Less than we won that championship. So I mean, we needed it's just.
But in fairness,
that.
you know, it's what's is crazy about this drought. It's been our longest drought, but also one of our like most successful
at the same time.
Yeah, most successful 2 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I am. I mean,
we're kind of spoiled.
8-5 season is just a train wreck.
Yeah,
absolutely disaster.
Everywhere else is normal. Like, hey, we did pretty good this year.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at I'm at a point with a couple of things with Oklahoma football. Number one, I love winning Heisman trophies, but I could give two shits if we ever win another one. Okay, because we've got Jason White, loses the national championship, wins the Heisman. Sam Bradford wins the Heisman, loses the national championship. Baker Mayfield wins Heisman, doesn't even get into the national championship game. Yep. That bothers me. I want a national championship. The other thing is, and I know, because it's since 1940-something, we're the greatest team in modern era football by the stats, and there's no arguing with stats. Right. Blinken Riley, all love to you. He's the stat master on Twitter, but as a fan, I'm tired of hearing that. Yeah, we're the greatest team in the modern era stat wise, but the greatest, in my opinion, right now, the greatest team in the modern era is Alabama. Nick Saban is just dominating college football right now in Alabama.
It's like Tiger Woods was in golf. You haven't seen this level of dominance.
Maybe what's his? I think his wife's name is Miss Teresa. I think that's what he calls.
Maybe something weird.
Maybe she'll get a golf club after Nick, and
that's what we need.
But
Nick's gonna retire. He's like 70-something years old. He needs to retire. That's all I get.
Dude, he looks pretty young for his old.
Yeah, he's not going to retire for a long time.
He just needs to go away. Go away, Nick.
But it is a fact that Oklahoma, we've had more time at the number one spot, except at the end of the season. Yeah. I get that, but what counts is championships.
Yeah.
We can, and I'm going to boast about it. I still boast about it. Yeah, we are. With Wilkinson, basically since Bud Wilkins has been there, Oklahoma's been the most dominant team in college football year after year. The team, not maybe dominant, but the team that's always in the discussion.
Yeah.
With the exception of 6 years?
Yeah, almost definitely the most consistent.
Yeah.
Since I've been really watching football, I think maybe there's 2 years of going the years. We're not going to win this year.
Yeah.
The year Texas won, the year that OSU almost won. So in 2 years, I was like, okay, we have no chance this year.
But
every other year, we could have a chance.
When Landry Jones was a quarterback, I knew we didn't have a chance. Even when we were number one, I was like, I would know.
But here's the thing. Okay, when Switzer left, you guys are too young to remember all this. Switzer, and then Gibbs came in. Okay, Gibbs wasn't a bad coach. We didn't have bad teams.
Wasn't he like a 9-3 guy?
Yeah, and he never beat Nebraska, and he never beat Texas. Okay, couldn't beat those two teams. Okay, and as soon as he was gone, they brought in, there was the Schnellenberger, debacle, and then the John Blake nightmare, and everybody was like, "Oh crap!" 9-2, 8-3. Man, that wasn't so bad, but we got to fix it. Even when Gibbs was there, we were still in the talk of conference and national championship race. Okay, it was just that period of time that I don't remember how long John Blake.
It's 3 years.
Yeah, it seemed like an eternity. Okay, it was horrid, but there was the Schnellenberger, and everybody believed Schnellenberger was going to turn this thing around, and then just come to find out he was a crazy drunk. Okay, but it was a very short period of time that we were out of the picture. And then you bring Stoops back in, or not back in. You bring Stoops in, and a young staff, an energized staff, and they turn it around. And it has been the talk for 18 years now. Oklahoma football has been in the national championship.
It's one missing thing.
Well, I think I think you're onto something though with Lincoln being in his second year, because we've had good recruiting success. Since he's been here, and he does still have a lot of Bob's players, which I think is a good thing. And especially still having Bob around. But maybe we just need Kyler or Rodney to get second in the Heisman. Because the last one we won, Heupel lost to Chris Little Winky. So
let's let Tutua win. We play him in the semifinal, beat his ass.
Yeah,
Alabama.
It's fun to talk about. It's fun to boast, especially when the Aggies down in A&M want to bark about how great they've been all throughout the years. And you can't find a year that was been great for them.
Yeah.
But
And that's the most delusional fan
Man.
base ever I can even think of. That fan base
well,
is
I mean, that's
crazy.
what happens when you're in a cult. So
Yeah, but they go
which
scream
you're
at the-
right, okay? Because we were talking about when all that stuff was coming out. One of the things that do you know what their cadets do in the stands? Sometimes I think it's about, I don't even know why they do it or when they do it. They like squeeze each other's nuts.
That's weird. I know. Like
There are pictures go and it's out there, and they're just like, and the guys like,
I'm not even surprised. I had no idea, but I'm like, yeah, sounds about right. Actually, yeah.
They're one of the few fan bases. They all wear the class rings with pride. Like, this is our class ring.
Yeah.
They also have this thing when they score a touchdown. They all kiss each other. Like they all kiss.
Yeah,
Touchdown
I
kiss.
was at that Cotton Bowl where Johnny just ran all over us.
Yeah.
And that was my first time being around like that many
Aggie
Aggies.
fans. I kind of yeah.
Wow, especially when the SEC chant started, because they just
They were
they
there
have
2
the
years
weird
ago.
little like male cheerleaders that look
Yeah.
like they're like out on the prison yard and like I don't know, looks like they're beating their junk or something, and everyone's getting all riled up. When that SEC chant started, our whole family. We just looked at each other, not a word was said, and
Yeah.
we just went
Yeah,
right,
time to go.
right to the car.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're so crazy. They took, I think the year before they went to the SEC, they took 4th in the Big 12 South.
We owned
And then-
them the whole time they were in the Big
Yeah.
12. They win one game. They're just like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we're so much superior.
They
You
took
guys
4th
suck.
Big 12 South, going straight to the SEC. Go, we're gonna win the SEC this year. Like what? Like their fan base is just crazy. Like I just don't get it. But it's funny to me though. But I'm sure one of them will hear this and go after me. I guess. But it's still,
Yeah. But
it's fun.
I will say, I don't want to make excuses, but, because I know OU hasn't finished the job, but we've had some pretty bad luck in our national champ, like not
Yeah.
having DeMarco in 2008.
Yeah, DeMarco had
Everyone
DeMarco.
just, I saw the ESPN list of like most dominant teams in the like since the BCS era or whatever. And they had the 08 Florida team on there. I was
Yeah.
like, we were inside.
They're number-
We should have beat them without DeMarco Murray.
They were
We
number-
should have beat them without him. And he's like one of.
Their number 2 team. Number 1 team was Texas, and that Florida team was number 2 on their
Yeah.
list. Last 20 years, we're number 13 OU or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
If we had DeMarco, we would have won that game. But people
I think
can't
we
forget
would have
that.
won it without him too.
We should have won without him.
we should have won it, you know. And then the LSU.
But
game.
Jason
we saw,
White was hurt.
We saw
Jason
Jason
White
White
was
the week
hurt.
before
Yeah.
at Walmart. He had a cast on.
He had a
his hand. We
cast on
recognized
his
him.
hand.
His face went so white, like he went like we saw a ghost when he saw him.
Yeah.
Oh, you're Jason White. 'Cause he had a huge cast on his
So
arm.
have you guys heard that LSU like broke into Bob's hotel room and stole his laptop that week? Have you guys heard that?
No.
Yeah, and apparently it was his wife's laptop though. Yeah, so they were trying to get something and they stole his laptop, but also it's I had always heard that they filmed our practices in
I've
the
heard that.
Superdome,
I
which
mean,
is
yeah,
why
'cause-
like the whole first half we couldn't do anything. They knew exactly
Yeah.
what we were
I mean,
doing.
they had all the rights to that, and I heard they didn't want to practice there. Oh, you didn't want to practice in the dome, but they forced them to. Like, you either practice or you don't practice at all.
You know, the only game that the national championship game that I can't explain was the USC game
Oh.
because we were touted as literally the greatest team in college football history if we win that game
Oh yeah,
because
That was-
we
Yeah,
scored.
Pearson, Jason
we
White.
that
scored-
was the last one we were undefeated going into.
Yeah, and we scored on the first
Yeah.
drive of every game, or first drive we had, scored on it. I don't know how many. I think we were averaging like 70 points a game or something ridiculous like that. And they were like, "This is the greatest team in football history."
Uh-huh.
And
Well, because we had thought that the year before.
yeah,
But that
The
was you.
2003, we
And
thought
then-
that, and then we added Adrian
And
Peterson to that team. So
and then you know it was
Quite
a,
an upgrade
it was,
from
I-
Kewan
it was a
Jones.
good game, and then that muff punt,
yeah, and that's exactly what we say when Mark Bradley muffed that punt.
Yeah.
It was
done.
Yeah,
Well, I
They
remember
scored and they got the upper
snowball
hand,
effect.
and it
It's a
just
snowball.
boom.
That's the first game my dad ever turned off. My dad never turns off football
Yeah,
game.
I,
That's the first
I
game
couldn't
he
watch
turned
it
off.
anymore.
I was at that. So you asked why I didn't go to the Rose Bowl because like I was at that USC game and I
So you-
remember we
you
left
don't-
because I remember even at halftime of that game it was already something like 35
Oh, yeah.
or something bad. But we were like, we had seen how good that team was. So we're like, we come
You
out,
come
we get
out.
an interception,
Yeah.
and
I
throw a
take
deep
a little
ball,
blame
and
for
then
that game too. 'Cause
halfway through the third quarter, we could tell it was just over. Like, all right, yeah,
Yeah, there was
our
no-
team packed it in at halftime, and I'd heard that Dan Cody went up to Matt Leinart and was like, "Dude, just run the ball, get this game over."
Yeah.
with."
Yeah, I mean,
which kind of
also-
makes me sick, but
I mean,
I
also
remember
had
sitting on
right?
that.
Dvorak wasn't in there. He
Yeah.
just got suspended for being above his friend. Or whatever.
Yeah, so I remember just sitting on that bus though, for like the whole fourth quarter, and some of the fans that were on our charter stayed to watch the trophy presentation for the USC trophy.
Are you-
You had to wait for them.
I thought they were gonna get jumped when they walked on that bus because like 90% of the people were with us that they
Like,
were
let's
just
get
like,
out
we're
of
not
here."
watching this anymore. Like, no
Well,
way.
And didn't you hear that USC that dun 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 that
yeah.
thing over
Their
and over
little-
again?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well-
that's kind of like Boomer Sooner is.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of liking it because I was,
I liked
we
it- I
heard
liked that
that
thing,
like
but
FSU
so-
had that, and
Yeah.
it was kind
But
of
then
like
that probably
then,
is
by the end of the
nightmares, though.
game, you're like making fun of them,
that's
so.
that's how Boomer Sooner is. Like,
Well, but
2 yard
see-
game, Boomer Sooner comes on. I mean,
But see, there was the person that needed the biggest accolades in that game was Bob Stoops, because every time they showed him in the third and fourth quarter over there on the sidelines, how he kept from throwing his headgear off, stomping it and throwing it into the crowd. I don't know, because that's the look he had. Nobody was around him. He was just like, he was dumbfounded of what was going on and couldn't fix it.
Easily the most perplexing loss in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Every other one, I'm like, kind of saw that coming, actually.
Yeah.
Like when we lost to Texas and they were horrible a couple years
Yeah.
ago, I kind of saw that as a trap game. That Houston game, I had a bad feeling about. But I just, especially the way we lost and how good that team was. We had a pretty good family friend who was a grad assistant on that team, and I was talking to him. I was like, man, are we going to win this game? Like, I'm nervous. Want OU to finally win it again. He's like, dude, we're going to effing kill them. Because if you remember, they had just almost lost to UCLA.
Yeah, they
were-
And UCLA was trash.
oh, he was just.
And so it
running
was
to
just
everyone.
like, it's looking back on it now, you can kind of see it because, I mean, they did have Reggie Bush, Lindell White, Matt Leinart,
Yeah.
but
Mike
they did
Williams.
not look that good, and we looked unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
We didn't
remember-
even, did we even, I feel like we won every game by like 4 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, it was. Like I said,
They weren't challenged at all that year.
that when I remember what everybody picked everybody on ESPN's panel, and people, everybody picked Oklahoma. Some of them was like, it's not even close. I can't remember who it was. It's like, this is the greatest team in college football history. This isn't going to even be close. And
I think,
I'm like, oh my god,
I
this
remember,
is
like,
going to be
I
great.
take some blame for that game because when we scored that first touchdown, I look at my dad, go, "Hey, I'm gonna get some T-shirts after this. T-shirts."
I think that honestly is the best explanation I have come up with is that we were just too good.
Yeah.
Like I'd heard guys were just on the phone with their agents before the game, because
Yeah.
we were just basically an NFL team.
Yeah.
And I think we just kind of
team was
thought that
ridiculous.
we were that good because we had just been an unbelievable run. 2000 national championship, 1 game away in 01 and 02 from making it. Should
shoot.
have won it in 03. We're back in 04.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
get
that-
why they were cocky, but
Well, and the funny thing is Terry Bowden, Bobby Bowden's son. He used to do sideline and stuff and in the booth, and I'll never forget. I think it was either after that game or it was after the game. It was either the next day or something. But he was talking. He said he was at the 2000 national championship game, and he said when that Oklahoma team came out to play his dad's team, the Florida State. He goes, the look in their eyes, their whole demeanor. He said, I told my dad, and he said, you're going to lose this game. Those guys, there is no way those guys are walking out of here without a win. You can just see it. He said the same thing you just said. USC, they came out glamorous, more worried about, where they were going to get picked in their, in the draft.
Right.
Agents were out on the field.
Yeah.
He said there was no way Oklahoma was going to win that game. They thought they were going to roll their helmet out there, and USC was going to go, okay, this is the greatest team in college football history.
yeah.
We can't beat them, and they didn't. They mopped the floor with us.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's an accident that was our least talented team that won it all.
Oh yeah,
Because they were just so, I remember
it was
Torrance
destiny.
Marshall.
I mean, that's all you can say.
I remember Torrance Marshall for the coin flip at the national
Yeah.
championship, and when they introduced us, it's the undefeated #1 national Oklahoma Sooners, and he's just like, "Yeah, that hurts, don't it? That hurts, don't it?" And he's like, "I'm here to get my boys' trophy back."
Yeah.
Talking to Chris Winkie about the Heisman, and
Yeah.
we just haven't had that edge since then because we were just
Baker had it.
Baker had it, but I don't know if our team did.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we didn't have
Baker
Rocky
came walking
Kalmus
in.
and Torrance Marshall.
Yeah.
Bacon came walking with the pretender sign.
Yeah,
Up
but-
everything.
Well, but you look at those teams that we're talking about back then. You had Dan Cody. You had Dusty Dvorak. You had Tommy Harris and
Derek Strait, our best.
yeah, and
Roy Williams.
yeah, and Torrance Marshall. I remember things like Dan Cody passing out on the sidelines at Iowa State, yelling at the defense, not because he just didn't take enough breaths, and smooth passed out, screaming, flop. Falls over it. They get him back up. The people were laughing in the booth. He's so pumped up, he forgot to breathe. Dusty Dvorak was a madman. We all know what happened off the field. Guy was a beast. Okay. Yeah. Tommy Harris, it took 3 guys to block him. Okay. If you put one guy on Tommy, it took 2 guys to block him in the pros. That's amazing. And everybody said that. Every team that played him his whole career put at least 2 people on him in college and in pro. Roy Williams, all those people we haven't had. And those people we're talking about are defensive players.
Yeah,
we haven't had that type of
Gerald
defensive
McCoy was the last one I could think of.
Yeah,
Gerald was more laid back, kind of cool guy. Like he was a big leader like that, but he wasn't really like a.
No, I just mean pure talent.
Right.
I don't think he had that killer mentality. But
hopefully
Boogie
can be the guy that changes.
That talented.
Hopefully Bookie's that can change the.
Kenneth Murray seems to have like a pretty good.
Too, yeah.
I like those guys.
Yeah,
he seems
and
a
even,
tough guy.
Even Rocky Kalma. Somebody today on Twitter, had people do their thing. Post your favorite OU picture, and it was Rocky Kalmas had an Arkansas player by the face mask yelling in his face at the Cotton Bowl that year.
Oh yeah.
We don't have that anymore. We haven't had that.
Bookie, I think, like I said, he's like already told recruits, "You're not good enough, don't come here." And you see videos of him he's doing workout videos. He's just shoving guys down. Like he does one thing with the receiver or DB. He just took the guy and threw him. And
yeah,
get up.
But
like,
see, and that's one of the things that I really like about that some of the guys we've had on the podcast that are that do the recruiting and they have the websites. Jason Young from the Football Brainiacs, he does the thing on offensive and defensive line. And he said, what you got to remember when you're a 4 and 5 star athlete, okay, and you're a 6, or a 3-star, there's a big difference, okay. And he goes, the 4 and 5 stars, those are alpha males. Those are the big gorillas fighting for territory.
You can't teach 6'8", 300.
Yeah, and he goes, and when you put those guys, when you put nothing but 4 and 5 star guys out there competing, it's just there's nothing else to it. Because your 3 stars are the ones going to get left behind. You're going to have 3 stars. They're going to be the backups. They're going to be the guys to come in and fill in the gap.
Maybe 1 or 2 that steps up out of nowhere and
right.
Better,
but he said you look at it. The point being made though is that's where Oklahoma has been defensively is 3 stars. Okay,
yeah.
And they're even saying it now with this group. The 4-star athletes that we brought in this recruiting class and the 5-star Bookie and stuff. They're competing for starting spots right now.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And we haven't had that alpha male dog mentality like the Dvoraks and the Dan Codys and the, Tommy Harris's. And one of my favorite tackles of all time, in Oklahoma's had some great ones. It was by Dan Cody. And
a psychopath.
Yeah, but he, what was the Iowa State quarterback's name when they were good back there? Seneca Wallace.
Yep.
Okay. He was getting tackled. Dan Cody reached behind his own back and grabbed Seneca Wallace by the back of the jersey and slung him down. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He was like the hardest guy to tackle in college football at that time, too.
I mean, well, that's when Sam Mays, he talks about crazy lineman. He said Dan Cody's number 1 in his mind.
Yeah.
Because I know the guy now. The guy's a good, nice guy, but that guy on the football field was a lunatic. That guy was just crazy.
Yeah, he came and talked to my 5th grade class. He's a nice guy, but yeah, I would not want to see him on the football field. I think it'd be a little different.
Did y'all see also, talking about something like that, is they had the lone survivor, I don't know his name.
Yeah. I saw that video last night.
Yeah, came to the
Yeah, did you see? So it's funny because I saw Alabama had Kobe come.
Yeah, Kobe did go there.
That sucks. I wish OU had someone cool come, and then we had Lone Survivor.
And you're like,
that guy come. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Especially then I saw what Kobe said, and it was not as cool of a speech as I thought he was going to give. I thought he was going to he just some. I'm not trying to poke your buttons here, but he said something there just came a point in my career where I stopped doing things for me and started focusing on what can I do for all these other guys.
And that was yesterday.
Oh. Yeah. And even the guys on ESPN thought what I thought, and they were like, where was this era of Kobe's career where he was just so worried about everyone on his team and putting himself last? But even the way he put it to me was just kind of weird. I was like, I wouldn't even think of it like that. I feel like as a teammate, it should be more about we, not as much of like, let me do this for you, you know.
And, you know, I don't know the guy's name, the lone survivor. But the thing is, you know, it doesn't matter what he would say to you, just a guy to stand up and be what, you know, first off, to become what he became, you know,
right?
Because he was a Navy SEAL. Okay. Anybody that becomes a Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, those guys are the elite of the elite human beings, period.
His name is Marcus Luttrell, by the way.
Marcus Luttrell.
And he's a funny guy, too, because I've seen him on some stuff that he's hilarious.
Yeah.
But to get to the level in the military that he got to, and then to go through what he went through, okay, to come out of it alive, just to be standing there and telling you, you know, hey, you know, what you got to do, you got to do. You know, every guy sitting in there listening to him came out with the mentality, and the stuff I saw was like, this is a man talking to us.
Yeah. Well, and
telling
that's
us
exactly
how to live our life. You know?
Mental toughness.
Yeah.
Highly transferable because like you were saying, he's coming from the most extreme circumstances. You know? It's like if you can, and it also I think gives you perspective. It's like this guy went through this in Afghanistan. Like you can handle it on a football field. Like you're going to be okay. You don't have to panic. You don't. You know. You just handle your business like I did in these extreme situations. Right. You're going to be fine.
Well, see, and I jokingly say that that's another thing I'm worried about. You know, with Army is that you know some of those guys are going to go out and be Green Beret Special Forces. You know, they can like kill you with their pinky. So we're going to see some guy out there all of a sudden just drop. You know,
I think there's really something to that though. Like there's. Because football's a sport that's all about discipline.
Yeah.
You know, like basketball, you can get buckets, you can go get buckets and be kind of sloppy. Look at Trae Young.
Well,
I mean, it ended up catching up with him a little bit.
But you look at the Steelers, I can't pronounce his name, that was a Navy SEAL, the offensive lineman. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. There was a big deal when he went out on the field when the Steelers decided that they were going to stay in on the anthem thing.
Right.
You know, he talked, you know, he was too big to play at Navy, and they put him at wide receiver. Okay, you know, and he caught, you know, because they threw the ball like 5 times a game with that much. But I mean, you know, he's even talked about how the two correlate. You know, but you know, one is life and death, and the other one is just life. You know, you're just, you know, football is life. It's not a life and death situation, but you're fighting against the best of the best. You know. And you got to have that type of mentality. And I hope that's what Oklahoma is building here again, is that type of mentality. Not that type of mentality of we're going to throw our helmets out on the field and everybody's going to go, ooh, it's Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I think we got some good, like Greg McElroy calling us out as most overrated. And,
well, we're this is the most chippy I've seen. Most of our defense.
I know.
Chippy as hell right now.
It was Caleb Kelly who said that literally nobody likes us but us.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, I want to say it was Theo Weiss tweeted that out as well. Like it's just really cool to see all our recruits who were like, they still have their high school senior season ahead of them, but they like consider themselves like on
part of the
team.
Yeah,
which is nice.
I mean, Murray's been out pretty chippy on Twitter. Like, we won't prove everyone wrong. This is the team that's going to prove everyone.
No, that's why I kind of want to.
I'm actually
join in on the trash talk on our defense. Just be like, yeah, you guys really suck, man.
Yeah,
really fire them up.
But here, what
go out and dominate?
What's going to happen? First game, we defer. Okay, let's just say we defer. We win the toss, we defer. FAU marches down and scores in 4 plays, 5 plays, 6 plays.
I think it sounds about right.
Okay.
I mean, they're a great offense. They got a
I'm just saying.
We run backs in the country.
I think they'll score at least 4 touchdowns.
And then we get the ball and we go 4 and out, and they go 6 plays and score a touchdown. What happens in the stands?
Start freaking out.
Oh, there'll be.
We got very like our fans. We can start our hands real fast sometimes.
Yeah,
but I mean, we get right. But as soon as we get going again, we get right back in the game real fast.
I hope so. That's the one thing that I've noticed as I got older. OU fans, and I think this is kind of part of the problem of us being as consistently good as we have been. You just get a lot of like sit down, cross your arms, like do something, Stoops, entertain me. Like I say, do something, Stoops. It's Riley now, but that was just always I would just always hear someone yell that out.
Oklahoma is one of the true original blue blood programs.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you talk about blue blood, they have money, they have fan base, they have this, but Oklahoma, I've always believed, is one of the blue bloodest program fan wise. Okay,
I think there's like only 3 probably. I think it's us, Bama, and Ohio State. I think those 3 are top tier, and everyone else is a step below.
But see, with our fan base though, you've got to look back at the 50s. So I wasn't alive then, but my dad talked about it, and if you watch all the stuff about it, Oklahoma was an elite team.
Right.
Okay, the elite team in the 50s, but Bud Wilkinson was kind of an elitist. Okay, he hung out with the Kennedys. Okay, yeah,
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
Illuminati.
He's the reason why the state troopers, and now in every school, come out with it. He was the first coach to ever do that. He was the first coach to ever a TV show. But and some Sooner fans I'm sure will be like, oh my God, I'm speaking against the original prophet. I'm not. It's just a fact. I mean, he was
just a big baller.
Yeah, he had a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Because he felt like he needed a bodyguard, so he had a state trooper there. And Oklahoma fans, especially the older ones, are kind of that mentality. If you sit in a certain part of that stadium,
they will not cheer for anything. They won't.
You don't do things the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because when he was little, I took David to a USC game here, and we sat in. I got some good tickets, and we sat in a really ritzy spot with a bunch of blue hairs. Okay.
Yeah.
And David was like 7 years old, and he was small, and he was kicking the chair in front of him. It was a chair. And this lady went nuts on this kid.
Yeah.
3 times. And one of the old ladies switched on the other side, switched places with him. But that's how, those people they would stand up, but there was no yelling. And then you get in the end zone and some of the other places, you got the guys who drank 4 kegs before they get.
I'm way more of a fan of that than the alternative.
That's another issue with OU.
It's like, if you're loud and obnoxious, and as long as you're an OU fan, honestly, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't have kids or anything, but even my parents, where they sit, it's like 10-yard line, 40 rows up. It's not anything special, but there's always some people around us,
that will tell you to sit down.
Yeah, and they'll just kind of like, you're yelling on 3rd down, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like, why is he so loud? And they just got like button downs and like nice brown leather shoes on. It's like, dude, you came to a football game.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
My problem with Oklahoma, with going to games, is I generally get set within just out of arm reach, which is probably a good thing, the biggest asshole in the stadium. Okay. That thinks, if we're sitting in the upper deck or we're sitting 30 rows up, that Bob Stoops or Lincoln Riley can hear him yelling at him. What are you doing, Lincoln? What are you doing? What don't you do? It's like, shut up. He can't, cheer for the team.
Yeah.
Call the other team names. Don't try and talk to the coach from the 50th row.
It's not helping anything. You're just adding a lot of negativity.
Yeah, and he's just, and he's the guy standing in the bleacher, on his bleacher, yelling at the coach, and it's like, shut up, sit down. But I always get put around a guy like that. Yeah. And I had one when the last game I took my dad to before he passed away, it was the Tulsa game we lost. Ugh. But we had an asshole right next to it because my dad was disabled and we were sitting in the bleacher. He couldn't stand up fast. And so we were standing, he goes, I got to stand up. I'm hurting. And so I'm standing up with him. And this dickwad 2 bleachers behind us, sit down. And I mouthed off to him, and my dad sat down. I was like, don't do it. And I walked up to him, told him, I said, he's disabled. Well, you're making the game now. I was like, he was a Green Beret, 82nd Airborne. Show a little bit of respect. The guy was like, I apologize, but you know where I'm coming from. No, I don't. No.
That's when I realized, that's honestly when I realized I was a college football fan and like, I watched the NFL.
Yeah.
Because I've been to a Packers game and a Steelers
Shut up.
game, and both
Shut up.
times
I don't
it's
want to
like,
hear about
sit
Steeler
down,
game.
Shut up. Yeah, you know. And so it's like,
Yeah, Caleb was like, "Hey, Dad, Matt McClure's at the Steelers-Ravens game." What?
Yeah, he has a terrible towel like wrapped up on. Like he's not hanging up. He has like wrapped around some like statue in his house.
It's wrapped around Buddha. Terrible tower. But yeah, you know, I'm honestly because how we got on this was that FAU game, and I'm really am a little nervous about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they jump on us, I don't think our fans will react well. Kind of like
Yeah.
that Ohio State game where once Ohio State got that lead, you could just feel it was like. Honestly, I just felt like our team or our fans sucked any positive energy.
It was
we
the
had
same
out. You
way.
could just feel the
It was the same way
anxiety.
with the Notre Dame game at home.
Oh, well, part of that was like right when they had that long completion that really kind of busted the game open.
Yeah.
That was when the Harden trade went through. Like I'll never forget that. I see this ball launching through the air, and as soon as like they hadn't even spotted the ball, and my sister was like, "We just traded James Harden to the Rockets." What? So I think there's a lot going on in that stadium that
I
night.
think you guys are both wrong. It's a striped stadium, so it is.
That's Stripe
No,
Stadium.
we
It's true.
lose.
Yeah, we got to
lose.
quit doing that.
We did against
Yeah.
Iowa State last year. We always lose. Like the record in striped stadiums, like we're like 5-4.
Yeah, I
We're
don't like
doing that.
I don't like the Stripe Stadiums.
Uniforms I don't care about.
I don't like the alternate
I
uniforms.
don't either.
I don't care.
I don't think we
I don't-
play
I
as
don't-
well.
yeah.
You know.
I think y'all crazy.
I'm
The
not too
ones we wore
superstitious
last
about
year
the
against
alternate.
Iowa State, we need to burn and to never be worn again.
Oh, I didn't like those.
That should be the last stripe for the striped stadiums. 'Cause it looks cool on TV, but we lose it all the time. I will say though that how we were against Ohio State. Apparently, when we were at Ohio State, when we started like taking over, like they sat on their hands too. They got real quiet, real fast that game too.
Oh yeah, you can feel. I mean, it's a real
you can
thing
feel a game
in
change.
Yeah, Game 6. You know, not I know it's football, but when the Rockets or the Warriors, Klay Thompson went off against the Thunder, you could feel it in that stadium.
They were still winning,
You
but
know
yeah,
where
you
else?
just feel
That Houston game down in Houston when they. I want to say it was that 109-yard kickoff
a block kick?
field goal. No,
Field
it was a
goal
field
kick.
goal,
Yeah.
and they ran it back.
It was done.
Yeah, and I knew when they put the guy back, I go, he's about to score. Watch, we have way too much confidence in our kicker, and it's about to, and sure enough, they did. And the Houston side was going nuts. Like it just, they were like shaking the stadium, and all the OU fans were just like they looked scared, like they were about to get their asses kicked.
Well, the worst thing about that too is like I'm friends with an Alabama fan, and before the opening like that Friday, I sent him a message. The kick 6 Auburn game. So sure enough, next Monday, I got. He's just like he's laughing. It's like he thought it was funny to me. This kick 6. Look what happened to them. Like I was like, yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's
Auburn
another thing
for me.
Oklahoma needs to stay away from is opening games at a neutral field.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a trend in college football. Everyone's doing it. No,
Yeah.
you need to be
Everyone's
like,
doing it
we're a
every
blue bud.
year.
We don't have to.
yeah, well, we're done. We did it because we've lost to BYU, we lost to Houston. In seasons, we were supposed to be really good.
We should need to alternate every year, opening with like Louisiana Monroe and North Texas. You should go back and forth between those two.
Tulsa. Let's get Tulsa in every year too.
Yeah, but we need to, but I do like the fact that we play. And most of the time when they schedule them, they're on the downside. But I think I don't know when. I think it's 2021 or 22. We got Nebraska.
And they got Scott Frost.
Yeah, and that's going to be
really good.
amazing if both
they
of
could be
those
good.
teams are good. Mm-hmm. And I have said it before, and I will say it again. If Oklahoma needs to do what Nebraska and Nebraska and Oklahoma need to do together is what Oklahoma and Texas did. Play every year. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma played Texas, and Texas played Oklahoma for years as their non-conference
What
game.
SC and Notre Dame does. SC and Notre Dame play every year.
Yeah, is we need to get with Nebraska and say we're going to rekindle the rivalry. We're going to play you guys every year on, the second weekend of September.
Yeah,
That's going to be our game.
yeah. I think I'd love that. I just think for that to happen, Big 12 would have to add more schools. 'Cause if we're still playing a round robin, and then you have that non-conference game every single year. Like, wow, that's tough.
But
I got more confidence in OU this year. I think OU's be better this year than we were last year. I don't know.
I do too.
I think they have a chance.
I think the only position we're not better at is quarterback, and
we
knows?
might be probably won't be better, but we might be somewhat.
we're going to be
reasonably
different.
good.
We're going to be different.
Yeah.
and I think that'll be.
Offensive
good
line,
thing.
what everyone's saying is just as good as last year. Defensive lines, I think, will be better. I mean, it's just I don't know.
Linebackers are definitely
The
better.
linebackers are definitely better, have more depth. I don't know. It's just this year just feels a little different.
We just have a tougher
we got a lot of
schedule.
swagger.
We have a
I don't
tough
know, I mean,
schedule.
We went to Ohio State last year. That was pretty freaking rough.
That's true.
So I mean, we got all our hard games at home besides. I'd say probably. I mean, I'm actually more worried about TCU really because we always kind of struggle at TCU.
Yeah.
And then and West Virginia, not really worried about.
I think it's going to be us and TCU again in the.
You know what would be really cool?
Game.
I think you're right. But I think if we were to have a rivalry rematch, hopefully Texas, but even OSU, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't really want to play either one.
I'd
much rather play TCU, but it would just be
seriously.
Crazy
could you imagine? No, it's going to happen someday.
OU Texas.
OU
the
Texas,
first
yeah.
OU Texas.
I think it'd be this year, honestly.
Bowl, yeah.
Conference championship game. You want to talk about a freaking madhouse?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that'll be.
I think OU is just so much better than everyone else in Big 12. I think Texas has a chance to be number 2 because I think 2 through 6 is all about equal to me.
Yeah.
OU is like ahead of class everyone else.
I don't think Oklahoma State will ever get.
The question is though,
if we keep playing around robin, I don't think Oklahoma State will ever play for.
Because we know they're going to lose to us. And they're definitely going to choke one other game.
Eventually, Texas is going to get back and take their spot over OSU. OSU's had Texas' spot last.
So do you guys have any OSU in your family?
No.
Well, I guess my sister's little ones might be turning to OSU fans.
Who?
Well, I heard like one of them goes for OSU sometimes.
Who? Kimber or Kirsten?
Kimber.
No, Kirsten calls OSU old stinky underwear. That's what OSU stands for.
Sounds about right.
We don't have any OSU.
I've raised made sure they were
OSU
raised
guy
right.
for a little bit because I lost my dad used to play football and like I hated him for it. And then so I root for.
Yeah, he even has a picture in a little OU singlet with Les Miles.
Yeah. Yeah,
Les Miles era, no less. Like
I was
that's the most
OSU fan for like 3 years.
That's the worst era you could have possibly done it.
That's when they turned it around.
But that was like peak hatred for OSU. Like he's just out there saying ridiculous things of like, well, there's the number 1 team in the country and a pretty darn good one.
We're going to see you
52-9.
The year that happened was the year after we won that championship, and we got into football, and he beat me. And I just threw I was like 6, 7 years old. I threw a little hissy fit. And I was like I hate OU now. And I root for every team against OU, and no one beat them that year except for OSU. It's like, all right, I like OSU now. And that's why I cheered them on 2 years in a row. They won, and then I met Quentin Griffin. And I was like, all right, I like OU again. So it's like it was pretty. It was like a 2-year hiatus. I was just being a dumb little kid. But hey,
you're entitled to a couple of years of ignorance. You came back to the good side, so I won't hold it against you.
I was with Starting Shepherd. We were going to wrestling practice, and me and Starting Shepherd were walking up to OU because we used to wrestle at OU Stadium. When you saw a guy come over towards us, like, that's like Quentin Griffin. Like, Sterling's on the sidelines every Saturday. So I was like, yeah, I think it is him. And walk up to him and goes, hey. and he was giving me a hard time. Like, he's got like OSU. He was like, oh, hey, that's sucky school for. I was like, oh, no, I don't like him. I was like, no, I like OU. What this guy's talking about.
See, for me, my whole mom's side of the family is OSU.
Really?
So it's like.
That must be fun, though, for y'all.
It's awesome. Like. I mean, except when we lose, because like I'm really, honestly, kind of ugly about it. You know, it was always tough for me. Who do I hate more? OSU, Texas.
I respect Texas.
That's what I came to realize. Like I respect Texas, but like wow, the feeling like when I go to the OU Texas game and I see their band and like hear the effing cannon, and it's like Texas fight, OU sucks in the, and my blood gets boiling. Yeah. Like that's where like when I go to that game, I usually don't drink because like I'll probably get into a fight because I'm pretty mouthy and like I don't like Texas. So, but I don't want to spend a night in a Dallas jail. But I go to OSU every time the OSU game, like it's just funny. To me.
It's funny.
I just. And it's great because like I've had my cousins tell me stuff of like, if you could go 11-1 and lose to OU or 1-11 and beat OU, which are you choosing? They're gonna beat OU. It's like, well, that's the difference.
They're the one fan base on Twitter that OU loses, and they're like, oh, look at OU, they lost. Like y'all lost by 2 touchdowns. Yeah, well, you guys are not out of the championship picture now. Like,
there's a guy on Twitter. He used to be called the Angry Sooner. He's changed his name now, but. We had him on the podcast. He has the best story about how he became an OU fan. Couldn't decide. He was in 3rd or 4th grade, and his 2 best friends, one was an OSU fan, one was an OU fan. And he was like, they were trying to sell it to me, and he goes, Jimmy, whatever his name was, the OSU fan. It's like, man, we got really cool jerseys, we got really cool helmets, and da-da-da-da. And you just want to be a fan. And he said, he turned to his other friend, he goes, what about OU? He goes, man, we just win games. And he said, that's it. That's all.
Yeah, we're not we don't get our uniforms from the Halloween Depot. So
another reason too is just like maybe because like, I don't see Texas fans, but I got my best friend's Texas fan, like Nathan, but he doesn't talk about his trash. Like he says, like OU Texas, we have a little bit more respect for each other, and then to the week of the game, and then it's all FU. Like nothing makes me more mad than hearing that OU sucks chant, the Texas fight. Like because it's so loud in the stadium too. That OU sucks chant.
That's the
so
loudest
loud.
part. Yeah,
because you don't hear anything at all. Like it's fine. And also hear, oh, you suck. Like, I hate that thing. But it's just.
And then when several years ago, I got a promotion, at my job, and I was the regional guy, and we were on a conference call with the VP, and he wanted everybody to introduce themselves, tell me a little bit about your family and stuff, and I'd met a few of these people, knew most of them, but not really that close, and one of the ladies, Wanda from out in Weatherford, she goes, well, my name's Wanda, and I'm in the Weatherford office, and I do da-da-da. I have 2 daughters who attend Oklahoma State University, and one's in pre-med, and da-da-da. And I went, wait a second, Wanda, can I ask you a question? And she goes, sure. And I was like, do you hate your children? And she was like, what? And everybody was like, what? And I was like, why would you send them to OSU unless you hate your children?
It's like what Barry Sanders' dad always cheered against OSU when he was there. Barry Sanders' dad's a diehard OU fan.
Yeah, and I've had people, if your son played at OSU, you'd be a fan of them. No, I wouldn't. He knew that. He would know that.
I was like a wrestler. And OSU was legit. Like, if I stick with wrestling, like OSU was like one of the best programs in the country. And he even said like, yeah, I won't mind you going there for wrestling, but I'll still hope you all like lose. So
hope you win and your team loses.
Yeah,
time.
That's just it.
But okay, I got a question for y'all. Okay, there's a very good possibility that both these happens. We could play Texas in the Big 12 championship game, in the Cotton Bowl, or we're projected right now to play Alabama in the Cotton Bowl for the playoff. Which one y'all go to?
Both.
Yeah, I'd go to both.
Choose one. Choose one.
If I had to choose one, I'd choose the. Well, honestly, I'd like to rub it in Alabama's face, but I just think that Texas game would be so wild.
Yeah, if it was the first time, you'd have to go to the first.
The first OU Texas, because
that ticket's going to be hard to get.
That's where they want it to be at, but I mean, like he said, they put the state fair there too, because it's. That OU Texas and that Cotton Bowl.
Well, see, I think did you happen to go to the NFL draft? Okay, was down at Jerry World.
Right.
I'm telling you, that was. I know that nutbag well enough down there. Jerry, that was his proof that he could have something at that stadium, carnival-like atmosphere, because that's what that was. There were food deals. There were vendors. There was all this stuff. It was well ran. There was a ton of people there.
I could handle. I've always been very anti moving the Red River rivalry, but I will say you put some food trucks out there, you serve some beer in the parking lot, and I get to play a couple games and all right.
Plus,
I'm telling you, he could very easily go, hey, you know what? We're going to set up, and we're going to, we're not going to have the Texas State Fair, but we'll have one half as big.
Yeah.
For a week out here.
It's not
people would go.
The OU Texas game too. You're going to tell who wins because who's after the game.
Yeah.
It's always pretty obvious who. Like I've been to 4 of them. I think I've won 3 and lost 1. The one we lost was the Sam Bradford Colt McCoy game on my birthday. First one I ever went to. That was great. but all the other ones we won. So I mean, it's just this like that game right there is just one of a kind. So I mean, it would be pretty cool to see that first time for the legit Big 12 championship. But I was saying that Bama friend had to come down and. Because he talks about crap to us the whole year long.
It's so funny they like to talk crap. Like I know they've just been dominating college football. But like, when's the last time you guys beat us? Huh? You're so good, right? When's the last time you beat us?
We have that. We can hold that over them. Well, we didn't try that game. It don't matter.
I love that excuse. We didn't try that game. Like, you scored 5 touchdowns because you weren't trying. Yeah. That's why, like, AJ McCarron's girlfriend's crying in the stands because they didn't care about that game. Like, get out of here. You guys lost.
They wanted to prove
Trevor Knight.
That Trevor Knight game. What shooting? What was it? A comment, pretty much. Trevor Knight was.
He never even sniffed that performance ever again.
Did you notice yesterday the video he was wearing?
Yeah.
He wasn't wearing the new. He's wearing Nike. He wasn't wearing Jumpman.
Oh, was it?
See,
They didn't give him a new one. They were like, "Sorry, man, your scholarship's out. Like, you still got that one from when you were here, right?"
You transferred, didn't you?
It is weird how he cheers on both teams on Saturday. He's like, "Yeah, Boomer Sooner." All of a sudden, get him Aggies. He's like, "What? This is weird."
It's just a Trevor Knight move.
Yeah.
Nothing against the guy, but he was just too much of a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know, I like my quarterback a little more Baker Mayfield, and Trevor Knight's just more like, "Go guys, go get them, both teams. I like everybody." I was like,
I was happy Baker came in and took his job. Like, yeah, Baker's a good player.
"Oh
Good
yeah,
job.
I was thrilled."
No, but
So, what are your predictions for this year?
2
2 weeks away, so we got your predictions already online.
All right.
Not yet.
I've stated all the reasons I am fearful for this season, but I don't think we lose a game.
You don't think
we
we
win it
go
all?
through? We win it all?
All of it.
All of it?
This is it.
Y'all heard it right here.
I got a feeling too. Like I think I will say if we play Bama in the semifinal game, I think that's national championship right there. But then again, Clemson's scares the living shit out of me because that D line, their D line, they have 2 guys in top 5, and another 2 guys in top 10. Like it's just ridiculous.
One thing that I tell everybody, I think we're going to be in the mix again. Okay, is Caleb brought it up a couple of weeks ago. Is there hasn't been an undefeated national champion since 2012.
No, it's
Wow.
Florida State.
Yeah, Florida
Yeah.
State.
Wow.
So,
Rapist Winston.
there's going to be a loss. Somebody's to go undefeated in college football. That even the Alabamas and the Ohio States and
Yeah.
I can see us losing to TCU.
the Georgias.
Like
It's hard to do. If you do it, you're doing something. But
Oh yeah.
I think if we lose a game, it's going to be either Texas
TCU.
or TCU. But I think
Both Dallas, pretty much.
both of those losses will be early enough to overcome.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I don't think those lost things matter. I mean, Alabama lost the last game of the year last year. They went to the playoffs with a
Yeah,
loss.
but they're Alabama. ESPN is going to throw Alabama in there anytime they can.
I mean, Oklahoma has that.
Yeah.
I mean, if Arden Anderson's having a Heisman type season, we can probably sneak in there too. So I mean, I don't know. We'll probably lose one game this year. I think we learned a lot. We almost ever come back from last year. I think they're all angry.
Yeah, I was
from
gonna
last
say
year.
we ended on a tough note.
Yeah.
Like we had won that game. I think we're
Yeah,
gonna be,
the difference-
it's-
Hungry.
The
Yeah,
difference
and
between
I
it
always-
and the Orange Bowl loss to Clemson was we got manhandled in the second half.
This one.
Yeah. That kind of hurt our pride a little bit.
Yeah.
We're like, dang, maybe we didn't even belong on the field. like those
that
guys,
Clemson game was like kind of like
This one was more like we should have won that
we
game.
won that
handed
one.
that to them.
Yeah,
we
we
should've won that
gave that
game.
game away. So
plus too like so
Yeah,
Conrad's
well, and
quarterback.
that's why I when it comes down to the prediction, I end up feeling good about this team because we should have won, and yet we're still getting disrespected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
And we're coming back. I saw a list of like top 100 college football players ESPN came out with. First OU player was Kyler Murray at 42, and then Rodney Anderson at 44.
yeah.
And they had Will Greer at number 3.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, like keep sleeping on OU.
But
That
see,
just helps our case.
I'm sure your dad has told you this, and all you old timers out there. It's been that way with Oklahoma football since I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in the 70s, the deal, and in the 80s, it was Barry Switzer. He was a, bootlegger's boy. He let his kids run wild. It's not a good program. I mean, Joe Paterno, bad-mouthed him. Yeah, well, look what happened to Joe. Okay, but I mean, it's been that way. Oklahoma has always been a blue blood program, but we're the blue blood program that drinks.
Yeah, we're Rodney Dangerfield. Can't get no respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the cousin nobody really likes to talk about. They're like, damn it, they're good, but they don't want to give us the credit. Okay, because Oklahoma, it's not a very big populated state. There's not a lot of people here, but there's a lot of money because they can build a.
we're the third richest football program in the country,
Yeah.
behind like Ohio State.
And I think
Texas.
that drives people crazy is that Oklahoma, here's this small state, with 3 Division I schools, and one of them just dominates everything they do. So they just don't get it. But it's been that way, back in Switzer times, and they just don't give Oklahoma any respect. It's always been that way. It'll probably be that way when I'm dead and gone. You'll be sitting around telling your kids, "Yep, I remember when we were playing."
Lincoln Riley back there, and you get the boys' respect. You talk about defense be terrible.
Yeah. So, well, Caleb, you got anything else?
I'm just ready to go get me some Jumpman gear now. So
Oh God, I got some Jumpman gear.
I gotta upgrade to some
Jumpman shirt.
Jumpman gear before the
I
game.
mean, I haven't got anything yet.
I'm gonna have to get a new coach's shirt. That's what I normally wear for game days. The coach's shirt.
I thought you and
See, the
David were
one
going to
is
stop
the
doing that.
blade collar this
No,
year, the
no.
coach's shirt.
The what? The what?
It's like a blade collar. It's not like a normal collar.
Uh-uh.
It's like that one Tiger's been wearing.
Let's see. Then I'll definitely
Oh.
get one.
It's pretty cool.
The coach's shirt's been good for me all. Like, I mean, when I don't wear it, we normally lose. So I mean,
Okay,
I wear
maybe
the
it was
coach's shirt.
David who said he was going to.
Yeah, David. When David wears it, we lose. If you look at the pictures right here, the Rose Bowl. That one right there, below that's the Houston game. And the one above that, that's Rose Bowl. So David's not allowed to wear the coach's shirt. No
Coach's
more.
shirt.
Yeah, see,
anymore.
I feel partly responsible. I've had the same OU shirt for like 4 years.
I think
so
this year
I haven't got a new
We're
shirt.
changing brand. We're changing brand. We're gonna get me a Jumpman coach's shirt. We'll hopefully get some stripes, hide the fat a little bit, and then look fresh for people. And then I think the new brand is gonna bring in title this year. So Jordan.
Let's see, I always buy every year. I buy a new shirt, a new hat.
That's what you're supposed to do. That's
Yeah.
why I feel like
Yeah.
a letdown.
Now, 2 years ago when we lost to Houston and Ohio State, I bought 3 new shirts and hats. It's because we lost the first game.
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't wearing that again.
Burn that. What else am I going to do? Yeah.
Then we lost to
I
Ohio
was wearing the
State.
Oklahoma shirt. I haven't worn that again. I haven't worn that once because the year before that shirt was Lucky. That was my Lucky OU shirt.
Yeah.
First game of the year, I was like, yep, this is new season. So that's why this shot to get me a Jumpman collar
It's hard for me. I had a Lucky OU shirt, but I sweat. It was a white shirt, so now it's turning yellow.
Now it's got a few pit stains and.
Have you all been by the stadium? Like you see, like Jumpman, like the Oklahoma, and this big old Jumpman, like in the.
Well, I'm going to close with
It's really
this
cool.
one though. If they put Jumpman on the football field, I'm going to protest.
They won't do that. I mean, he's already
Yeah.
at Michigan. He's at North Carolina.
I'm just saying. I didn't say they were.
I think they should put the.
I'd be cool with it on the basketball court. Though.
Yeah,
would
the
be cool,
basketball court,
yeah.
that's fine. But if you go
We need all
put,
the help we can get on the basketball.
if you got the Big 12 on either 20, and then on the opposite end you got Jumpman, that's not.
I might
right.
be a minority here, but I kind of wish we just kept like the spring game Oklahoma and put OU in the middle of the Oklahoma, the state symbol.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I wish you did that more often, but I'm probably
instead of the
minority.
OU.
No, OU's inside the Oklahoma. Like the
They
state
have
Oklahoma,
the state.
They have the state and
Oh,
OU's
yeah.
in it, inside of it.
We should definitely do that. Just let everyone knows it's our
It's our
state
state,
anyway.
yeah.
Just be like, let's,
Like for a spring game, that's what we do for a spring game. It's big Oklahoma right there.
we need to do that for
field.
Bedlam, man. Just like peak troll.
That'd be awesome. We Bedlam is here this year, so
Yeah, do something.
Bedlam
yeah,
is a game to go to. It's pretty fun, but wait, Bedlam's we got this game. So
Yeah. So, Matt, you got anything else you want to share with everybody?
Just
No.
ready for the season.
Ready
It's
for
gonna
the
be good.
season? We all are. All right, everybody. That's the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Boomer Caleb
Boomer.
and Boomer Matt. Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. If you want to be on the podcast and talk Sooner football with us, go to www.soonerfootballfans.com. Click on the How to Be on the Podcast tab, fill out the form, and we'll get you on. Boomer.